What's going on, guys? Last night I went to go visit my friend because he actually just bought a Supra, so we're gonna have another Supra coming to the channel. But as I was driving there, I heard what sounded like a belt squealing coming from my R32. So I thought that one of the belts were loose, and I was like, okay, that sucks. But once we get to where we're going, then I'll just check it out and see what's going on. And then the squeal went away, and I was like, okay, that's weird. But alright, I'll still check it out. And then shortly after that, I heard like a loud clunk, and I was like, oh no. And then as that happened, battery light came on the dash. So here's the motor. Everything looks pretty normal. And then you take a peek down there. See how my alternator is zip tied on? And there's no belt there? Somehow, both the top and bottom bolts for the alternator snapped and the alternator fell. And when that happened, it messed up the belt. Let me show you guys the belt. And see, it's not usable anymore. If you like look at that, like it is all kinds of fucked up. It's really brittle now. It actually was still like connected like that when I first saw it. However, I knew that there was no way that we could get this belt back on, so I ended up cutting it and just getting rid of it. I then drove home from a place that was about a half hour away. It took me like an hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer to get home, because that belt is like the main, like super important belt. It's actually the only belt that I have on my 240. That belt down there drives the alternator as well as the water pump right here, and the water pump has the clutch fan on it. I drove home with no alternator, no water pump, and no clutch fan. That's one of the most stressful things that I've had to do, because the last thing I wanted to do was overheat. We had to stop 4 times, but we did make it home. It was very, very nerve-wracking. This is all happening at around 1:32 in the morning, and I had to drive the last few miles with my headlights off because the battery was dying. Nonetheless, we made it home. So today we're going to be getting the car ready to actually be driven again, because I had to drive my 240 to work today, and it just so happened that today was just super hot and I don't have AC or anything in the 240. So that was awesome. That was definitely something that I do not miss about my 240. This is the lower bolt. You can see it snapped right there, right where the thread started. And this is the adapter bracket for the alternator because it's an LS1 alternator. And you can see the bolt snapped off right in there. So I need to drill that out. And we're actually going to be using this for the bottom bolt because it is the OEM RB alternator one. And we're going to use this bolt for the top bolt because this is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to deal with this on a street car that, honestly, I don't drive this thing hard at all. The 240, I drive very hard, and this never happened with it. And it has the same kit. So I don't know what happened here, but I want to make sure that it never happens again. So let's drill this out and then run a tap through the threads, make sure they're still good. Okay, so we just got very, very lucky with that. I was gonna start with the smaller bit and then work our way up to a bigger bit and eventually put this guy in there to extract it. But it literally just came out trying to drill it. So this is gonna be our setup. We have the bolts in and it's gonna pass through this piece that lets you adjust the tightness of the belt. And with this new bolt in, we are getting most of the way through this section here. On the other one, we got maybe to where my thumb is. Like, it seemed like it was just barely hanging on. So that might be why this one snapped, but I have no idea why the bottom one would also snap. So now we can get the alternator bolted up again, and then we have to take off the power steering belt and the AC belt so we can get our new alternator belt in. Well, as you can see, we have our alternator back on with the belt. I now just need to put this clutch fan back on, and then we'll start the car up and make sure that the alternator is working, and then we'll let it warm up and make sure that coolant is circulating through the system. Down there, bottom right, is our battery light. Hey, just look at that. Battery life's off. So you guys saw the battery light turn off. Down here's looking good. We still have all 3 belts. They're all going in a straight line. We're gonna let the car warm up, and we're gonna make sure that the thermostat is opening and everything, just making sure that the cooling system is unaffected by our driving home last night. Okay, so I have some bad news. I have discovered a coolant leak. You can see the coolant right there. I'm not gonna be able to show you guys because it's under the intake manifold, right under the oil filter, but I'm just waiting for the car to cool down before I work on it. So I'm gonna try and show you guys the hose. Right there by the knock sensor, the metal like pipe right below it, on the right of that is where one end of the hose goes. The other end is going to a port off the heater hose housing, and I actually have access to both clamps. You guys won't be able to see it, but between here I actually have access to the clamp. I'll have to use a long extension, but I will be able to get this hose out. The only thing is I'm not looking forward to the amount of coolant that is going to come out as well. So here's the hose. Right here, that is where the tear is. It's so hard to see, but it's right there. You can kind of see it right there. It's that line. That's where our tear is. And we have this brand new hose that we're going to put in. This has been such a pain in the ass. But right now we have the hose in. I just have to tighten the clamp. Don't know if I'm going to be able to show you guys. I guess you could see right there. That's our new hose clamp. But to do this, I had to take the battery, the alternator, as well as the starter out. So it's going to be fun putting all of those back in. And it's all because of this stupid hose. Car's now put back together, so we're going to bleed the cooling system. And then hopefully we don't have any more leaks anywhere. So I think it's safe to say that the car is finally fixed. That was such a pain, but I'm really glad to get that done. That just sucks about 30-year-old cars is they also have 30-year-old rubber and 30-year-old wiring. And there's a lot of potential problems that I like to catch before they become problems, but unfortunately, because of what happened with the alternator, that caused this hose to pop. Well, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you did, comment down below, and then hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.